Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 100 Words or Less, the podcast. I'm your host, Ray Harkins, and here we are, episode number 16. It's awesome. 16 weeks, solid weeks worth of content. Television shows can't even pull that off. Granted, this is not as professional as a television show, and there's probably one millionth of the budget for this, because realistically, there is a very small budget that gets put into this show. But in any event, I'm a little tired because last weekend was the Sound and Fury Music Festival that myself and the music correspondent for the show, Joey, do. 50 some odd bands, 3 days. It's just a lot of stress, a lot of stuff going on. But the festival went well. We sold out all 3 days, so awesome. That's why I am in such a good mood, but at the same time, I might also be a little weird sounding because of the tiredness. But in any event, this is our first episode where we actually have two guests on. Not one, but two. So more bang for your proverbial buck, which is $0 because you're not spending anything to download this. But anyways, before I introduce them, 100 Words or Less is part of the Punk News Podcast Network. There's a lot of P's in there. I never really realized that until now. Visit punknews.org, and it's got a bunch of awesome news about whatever band you care about, they probably talk about, or they do a review of. So check it out, and they also have a bunch of other podcasts that can tickle your fancy. If you like this one, you probably will like some of the other ones. So check them out. And the guests this week, I'll speak more about them in a little bit, but Dan and Tom Searle, I'm totally butchering their last name, I'm pretty sure. Dan and Tom Searle from the band Architects, or as they're known here in the United States, Architects (UK). More about them in a minute, but you should follow us on Twitter at 100 Words Podcast, or find us on Facebook, 100 Words, the podcast, and you can like us and we can be cool. Above all, if there's one thing that you do, please subscribe to the show, because that way you're going to get all of these new shows put to your iTunes each week. And that way you're not going to miss out on anything. And then, say you fall behind, you can binge listen to them. That way you just keep getting the content as it comes out, because that's what I want to make sure, that people are getting this on a regular basis. And that way they'll be able to tell me what they like or what they don't like. So there we go. One other thing I wanted to mention before I dove into the guest intro was a good friend of mine recently passed away. His name was Christian De Silva. He was the sound guy at Chain Reaction, a very local and important venue here in Southern California. He was a sound guy for, as long as I can remember going there. He did sound for the first band of mine that played there, Taken. And he was just a great dude. He was one of those guys where I would see, obviously, at shows there, and he would always make an effort to just, hang out with me, catch up, and, just hang out. And, he didn't need to do that for me and obviously the hundreds of other kids that showed up to Chain Reaction on a regular basis. But he was just a great dude. Not only was he a great dude, but he was extremely professional in what he did as well, and always made whoever was playing there sound as good as he possibly could. So he died tragically in a motorcycle accident, and it was pretty disturbing. I was definitely shaken up because, he was only 40 years old, which is only 9 years older than me, and I sure as hell know that I do not want to be parting this planet in 9 years. And so, he had 2 kids, 1 kid on the way. So it was very sad. And my heart definitely goes out to him and his family. But a lot of other cool stuff has been happening around that in regards to benefit shows, helping out his family with all the costs that are associated with this. And I actually went to one recently. The Aquabats played. But it was just good because you got to be surrounded by people who knew him and, kind of celebrate his life, as opposed to be completely torn up and sad by it, because that's ultimately what no one wants to impart on the people that they care about when they leave this planet, is for other people to, be in misery for a long period of time. So anyways, Christian De Silva, great dude, and I'm sad that he is gone. Anyways, on a less serious note, even though it is somewhat serious at the same time, my two guests, Dan and Tom Searle from the band Architects, or like I said previously, Architects UK here in the States. They actually got approached by the Kansas City, Missouri band. That's kind of a more, they don't sound anything like Architects in the UK. They kind of have a whole garage punk vibe, but I was working at Century Media Records, and I helped sign this band. And it was one of those things where it was the first time that I actually encountered the whole band name issue. But anyways, these guys are twins, so that's funny in and of itself. And they, still to this day, are some of the funniest people that I know. Their proverbial English sense of humor really shines through. And this is definitely the, funniest podcast that I've done, where they just... they're so sarcastic on levels that I can't even begin to try to duplicate or mimic. But it's kind of one of the reasons why I like them so much, because they're just so deadpan and funny. So the interview gets a little confusing at times because we're kind of talking over one another. They're talking over themselves, or they're talking between themselves, leaving me completely out of it. But in any event, they are an extremely popular band in the UK. Australia, Europe, basically everywhere besides the States. They're still kind of developing over here. And but they, for how young they are, they really are kind of wise beyond their years. And I thought it would be a very fun conversation to have with them, not only for myself, but for everybody who's looking to know a little bit more about this band. I endorse them wholeheartedly musically. I think they're a great band in what they do. So I was excited to chat them up and ring them up over Skype one afternoon my time, and you'll join us right as we start talking about their dietary changes. Hopefully you enjoy. Thanks. Yeah, you guys are on board the vegetarian train now, yeah?
Vegan train, yeah.
Dude, welcome to the team.
It's a wonderful kingdom.
I have been noticing that, and it's exciting. And all you dudes are, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Once one converts, you guys all convert.
You know what? We even got a guy who's filling in for us right now. And aside from the fact that we desperately want him to join anyway, but he refuses to because he's in another band. But he spent one night at our house, and he's vegan now. We can be very persuasive.
That actually segues perfectly into one of the things, because I usually like to start these things off with just kind of a little trip down memory lane. Like usually my first experience in either finding out about you guys as a band, or you as individual members. I just remember when obviously I was working at Century Media, and Architects kind of got started to be spoken about internally at the office. And I was already familiar just because I had the Nightmares EP. That was an EP, right?
It's a mini album. I'll call it an EP because I don't like to say we have 5 albums. Yeah, good point.
That's true. It makes you sound really old, right?
Yeah. You're 24 now, so
which blows my mind.
5 albums.
So yeah, I heard that, and it was okay. It didn't blow my mind, but I'm sure it doesn't blow your mind anyways.
It's fucking rubbish.
Which, it's your first recording, and that's understandable. But anyways, so I remember hearing that, and I remember talks about, architects and everything, and, as stuff started to, get hot and heavy, and
$1 million record deal.
Basically, once like 7 figures started to be spoken about, I was like, oh, okay, I should pay attention to this band.
The Century Media team got together, they said, this EP isn't that good, it's pretty shit, but 7 figures.
But these guys probably have the potential to be the next Coldplay.
Yeah.
But I remember, I don't know what it is about you guys that, and obviously this is me just complimenting you, but you not only like as musicians and what have you, and what you guys do in a band, but the I guess the collective unit that is architects, like it's so infectious. It's one of those things where it's like either if you hang out with you guys or watch you guys play live or whatever the case may be, whether you're a kid in the audience or whether you were like myself, where it was like I was a dude at the label working for you guys, you just like wanted to be a part of it, and it's something that's so indistinguishable and really difficult for bands to kind of capture in general. I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm sure it would be difficult for you guys to be like, oh yeah, we're easily that infectious, and basically everybody that we hang out with is the best thing ever. But
they're amazing to hang out with.
right, and it's partially due to the accents, obviously.
Yeah, they're hilarious. These accents, aren't they?
Yeah. All very kind words, Ray. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. But I mean, I just think that that's kind of why you guys have been able to build like you have been as a band. Where
It's not everyone thinks that though. Some people hate us, don't they? Ask Alexandria, the singer.
Oh well, we don't really know each other, do we? I'm sure we would get on.
So he specifically has targeted you guys?
Are you?
We get on with most bands.
We do, because they meet us and they can't believe it usually, can they?
They can't believe that like you're actually nice, or is it?
Well, they obviously, they've heard a lot about us, stories and stuff, and they finally meet us, and it's quite.
Well, I think those guys must be stuck up ourselves because in every other interview we're slanging someone off. Not me, I might add. This is Tom talking.
When did I slag someone off?
I'm not going to go into this. Mainly Sam.
Sam's a vitriolic character, but we try to be just sort of normal, sort of English people, don't we?
I think Mum's listening out there.
Our Mum's listening. That's part of the charm. Mum, do you want to say hello? She's pretending she's not listening.
I think she's too good for it.
She doesn't want to appear on the podcast. I totally get it.
Yeah. We don't live at home though. We live in a big. She's visiting. We've got a big house from all the money we made from the band.
No, normal sized house. We made loads of money, but then we gave it all away to more needy people.
Right, because
needy, like they're like always calling up, and they're like,
give me
a
your
needy
money.
Girlfriend. Not that sort of needy, but
genuinely needy,
properly needy. When they need stuff.
Sure. No, I get it, but that, like I said, I think it's just one of those things that's why you do. There are definitely bands that are like the bands, where it's like they're fun to tour with, and they kind of
fans,
right? But they don't have any fans. But you guys kind of blend a good combo where obviously you've been
over to where we have some fans,
right?
It takes a while. I don't know.
Yeah, and do you think that's just because you guys have obviously, well, I mean, one, you're obviously brothers, and then two, kind of like you guys have all sort of just been playing music together for so long, it just kind of comes naturally, or what?
Well, the sort of camaraderie that we have going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't really think about it. I'm glad that we all get on though, because you do see other bands and they all kind of sit and do their own thing, and you never really see them talking. In fact, even when we went on tour with, here's a little story. It's really not a story, but when we went on tour I am a bit of an anecdotalist. This is Tom. Dan isn't at all.
Harsh.
We went on tour in Europe with Comeback Kid and Outbreak and I don't want to forget anyone.
Bane and Misery
Signals. And I remember...
it's a good story. So
I think Bobby...
Fluid, this.
From Misery Signals, not Misery Signals. No, Bobby from Bane.
Drummer.
Yes, that's his name.
Wasn't him. He wouldn't know our names, mate, for the record.
Yeah, actually, fuck this. It wasn't him. It was the bass player. I don't know his name. He doesn't know my name. It's fine. But he went over to us in Austria and he said, you can tell you guys haven't been touring for that long because you're always hanging out together. And I thought at the time, well, we've been touring for a little while. Not as long as Bane, though, but no one's been touring as long as Bane.
Right.
Yeah, that's facts, isn't it?
But now, still, we're probably even worse now. Probably hang out.
Yeah, we move around in a little group. Me, Tom, well, because obviously Tim departed, but now the group, me, Tom, Sam, and Ali basically joint at the hip on tour.
We do actually move around like a huddle of penguins to retain body warmth.
If we go anywhere, like if we leave venue, we all go together. If we go to the bus, we all go together.
We eat together, we bathe together.
Yeah, we wash together, and that's why we all went vegan together because we do anything different.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that is rare. I mean, I do see why, dudes in Bane would go over to you and be like, because it's not like when bands tour so long and, are just basically, out there. You're obviously it's an extended family, but you don't see that like, as you grow as a band, like, people kind of, separate because they grow up or whatever the case may be. They still like each other, but they, like you said, they're not attached to the hip like you guys are.
I mean, me, Tom, Ali, and Sam are going on holiday together in 3 weeks.
Oh.
How many bands do that?
That is so adorable. I love that.
Yeah,
that's just charming.
we're doing a festival in Spain, so we're the rest of the crew are flying home, and we're all getting a hotel together, and going to the beach together, and we'll probably rub lotion into Ali. We'll tan up in Speedos.
God, he's gonna look good.
That's good. That's good.
Get him a Brazilian.
He's lost a lot of weight, so it won't look as much like a beached whale as you might imagine in your head.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be difficult for me to get through. Um, and so, kind of moving backwards because another part I enjoy about doing this show is kind of just really taking a step back and obviously you guys and I have hung out on more than one occasion in different countries, but we've never been able to be like, hey, where were you born and like how was your upbringing and all that type of stuff. So it's like both you guys are twins, am I correct in this?
Yeah,
For real.
So there's kind of one answer for stuff like that as well,
which makes it easier because that way you're not stepping all over each other like you always do anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So where were you guys born and raised in Brighton?
Wait, one the other person to answer. Yes, we are. We were born here. A little bit of trivia. Sam was born in Guildford and Ali was born in Shoreham. I know this because of their passports, because I had to fill in a passport form for them to apply for second passports 3 days ago. So, nice little side note there.
We were caesarean.
Really?
Yeah, we were cut out.
That makes sense because
Neither of us are circumcised.
Oh, that's even better.
I've got an innie belly button, not an outie. Weird.
What do you mean, just you? So have I. You've seen mine. Why are you acting like I haven't?
This is by far the most in-depth answer I've ever got for that. I do appreciate it though. That's very nice.
We grew up on Via Road until we were 4. Get a postcode, and then we moved to a new address, and I'm not going to give that out because that's where we live now.
Wow.
I remember the first day we moved here because I remember playing with a tennis ball. I was 4.
Okay, that like I said, that's the most in-depth answer I've ever received.
We're really painting a picture.
No, I do appreciate that, and obviously the listeners will as well.
French imagery.
What are your parents do for a living, and why Brighton? Why do you guys have such an attachment to Brighton besides the fact that you live there?
Most of England is really, really dull. Whilst Brighton's actually a really, really lovely seaside town.
Although, if any fans are listening, we love it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, a lot of it's crap. There's some good bits, but Brighton is easily...
Stoke's nice.
Anyone that comes to Brighton likes Brighton, and they're sort of, I'm from London, I like everything London.
Yeah. No, Brighton's just a really nice place, and yeah, I mean, it gets a little bit boring at times, but, when the sun's out, which is like maybe 4 or 5 days of the year, it is a really beautiful place, so...
Could you see yourself living elsewhere, or is that one of those places?
Yeah, but only out of boredom. A different country, Australia. Give me that. But if I moved to Australia, rehearsals would be a nightmare. So Skype. Just mic up the drums and put them down Skype. Just one mic in the room.
Fuck it, we just demo everything and then go and record it properly.
So that I've got the green light to move. I'm moving to Australia.
Have fun with your work.
Things are moving very quickly here. I appreciate that.
But mom and pops,
should know what Dad did.
Dad,
He did a business.
he
was one of those businessmen.
Yeah,
Okay. So
Dad worked in the
indiscriminate business.
printing industry, and
Okay.
then Mum stayed back with little Dan and Tom to bring them up, care for them, change our nappies.
Sure. And you guys are really getting into the terminology of English folk, because some American kids will be like, "What are nappies?" But that's diapers for those of you who need a glossary to figure this interview out.
Yeah, so she changed our shitty diapers.
Well, that's kind of what you do as a parent. I can speak from experience because I'm currently still changing diapers for my little guy, and it's an experience. I can assure you that two of you, I would imagine, would be hellish.
At the same time, screaming. Little
Yeah.
story. One time our mum, she'll hate it, she's saying this probably. She fell asleep. Unbelievable. Terrible parenting. Mum, if you're listening, terrible. She woke up to find me and Tom had juiced some carrots and some apples and put malaria tablets in the drink. So she
Still love that recipe.
took carrot, apple, and malaria tablet, took us to the hospital and had our stomach pumped. Another story, we ate soap, both of us at the same time.
I don't know how I'm scared of using. I use a juicer now. I'm scared of it now. When I don't understand.
We were
how
two.
We were two crawling on the floor, crawled up onto a work surface like a slug, attaching itself to a wall. How does a baby get up there into a cupboard, plug it into a wall? I'm
Extremely skilled at a young age, and then to not taste the soap, to eat it and swallow.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so we had our stomachs pumped twice.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think at one point someone needs to have their stomach pumped just for fun, just to see what it's like.
Well, apparently they don't do it anymore, which is why I've stopped eating soap.
They make people sick instead of that. I think that's
They just make them sick. Just be sick instead. Don't know why I didn't think of it.
probably plays a big part of those two stories. They need quite nice for the new album.
This is all a direct influence to Daybreaker.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, as you kind of, as you grew up and you started to go to, what do you guys call high school over there? Is it called high school, or is it called
Oh, what's all of them? When I first went to nursery school, what was it called?
Nursery school.
okay,
Yeah.
we call that preschool maybe.
Yeah, what was it called, the one we went to? Do you remember?
I can't fucking remember the name of that.
It was up near Queen Street.
Yeah, I remember.
Then we have like junior school, primary school, secondary school, college, university. Me and Tom did not do university. Did they do it? We're still on a gap 8 years.
It's okay, you're just taking a break.
Yeah. Well, no, 6 years, isn't it? We were on our sixth gap year.
Okay. I like that. 6 gap year. I like that.
There's going to be no point in earning a living when the global financial collapse happens anyway. So I figure, it's too late now. So
Too late.
Let's just get on with it. Board up the windows.
Sure. So then, as you went to, like I said, what we call high school over here, how was for one, how was that experience for you guys, and then two, kind of what was the introduction to like independent music as a whole, and kind of when did you start to become aware of all of that type of stuff?
I remember, I think the first time I really felt like I wanted to be in a band was when some older kids.
Yeah, I'd agree with this. I already know the story. It's like telepathic, isn't it? The twin thing.
I don't know if you do, because there was 2 different occasions, but I remember this one. We went into the...
Well, I know the two, so I know both of them. I know what both of them are.
So it's not a competition.
It is.
We went into the school music classroom at a lunchtime, and there was like the older kids, and they were playing a band, and they were doing at the drive-in cover of the song Cosmonaut.
That was in the assembly.
Was it? No, I saw it in the...
But I saw
experience.
the actual performance in the assembly, and it was amazing.
Well, they played it really well.
What about when those kids were playing Blind? And
Yeah, that was in one of the huts. That was the other one. That's the other one I thought you might have thought of, but you thought of the wrong one, because I wasn't really inspired by that one.
It was embarrassing.
One of them was wearing fishnet top.
It was embarrassing then.
Spurred them on. Plus, and I remember a guy playing a guitar. Never told us. I got him on Facebook.
Wow, you learned so much.
He had the guitar I wanted as well because Larry from 100 Reasons played it. This is detail.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
But yeah, that was the first time I was like, yeah, okay. And then I was like, I'll play bass, and then I played bass, and then it was I got bored of it, played guitar, and now here I am.
But in terms of, it depends what you class as alternative music, I suppose. We played like when we first started playing in a band, we did just like
some of the Chili's, didn't we?
Well, at first it was like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Muse, Incubus.
Never did an Incubus cover, did we?
Yeah, would have thought so. Just
Which
bits.
Which one?
Well, stuff off Make Yourself, definitely.
I don't remember. Did it too many effects pedals?
Nah, definitely.
Too many effects pedals?
Definitely.
We did Pattern Against User at the Drive It.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. We did it in this room. We did Muscle Museum, Muse, Be Quiet and Drive.
That was the first song we ever played on stage, Be Quiet and Drive. Our friends were playing a Scout Hut, and they let us come up and take their instruments and tear the stage to pieces.
Wow. And
Yeah.
So as you guys, it seems like there was a lot of talent show stuff happening in high school. Like, was that a common thing for you guys?
It was really just like
Just the alternative kids organising the stuff themselves.
the kids that society left behind.
Got it.
No, so yeah, there was, we were naturally.
God, I hope
Tom-
not think that's serious.
Tom dyed his hair different colours, like green and blue and red.
Purple, that one.
Purple, and that went grey. His hair went ginger. It was like that, like temporary dye. Like
That temporary
week long.
red dye was permanent. That
Yeah.
was that.
And one day he put his hair into like sort of gelled pyramids or something, and the teacher sent him to the toilet to wash it out. Yeah. Tom was just so
the
against.
system don't like it, mate.
I understand. You were punk at a very young age.
Very, very, very punk.
But did
Before
you,
we started, we just wanted to do 100 Reasons covers, which were a British post-hardcore band, which were sort of fairly popular for a while.
yeah, I remember that band. And so, did you guys enjoy high school? Like, was it fun for you guys, or did you can't wait to get out of it?
That was alright.
No, yeah, I didn't mind it. Probably look at it more fondly now than we did at the time. I think that's just sort of how everyone feels about education, I suppose. You sort of, I didn't like getting up in the morning, but generally...
Unless you were really badly bullied, then you probably... I think people that are bullied, they're the ones that don't really miss it.
Yeah, well, me and Tom didn't really get bullied or anything. We were... but we weren't like popular or anything.
Just under the radar.
Exactly, yeah, we just sort of...
Now they all want to know, oh, you're in a band, talk to me, be my friend. Do one, mate.
Next, yeah.
So you really do have old high school classmates that get back in touch and are like, oh hey, do you remember when we hung out? And it was like, we didn't hang out.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think it's just that we have... Most people just go through education and, they go to university or whatever, and then they get a job that they don't really care about more often than not. Whilst me and Tom have sort of done something different, and I think that's probably why friends from school are interested, because we're the ones that are doing something a little bit unusual. So
Right.
broken the mold.
Did you guys were you guys into sports or anything like that? Were you into footy?
Love it.
Dan was the team goalkeeper. I never got in the squad because I was too shit.
Well, we had our own team. They were called Withdean Wolves. Yeah, we were in a team called Withdean Wolves, and we lost every game about 14-0. We were absolutely rubbish. But we did love football. I remember when I was 12, we had to write a paper about what we wanted to do when we were older, and I said I wanted to be a goalkeeper.
Can
and
I
now
just
if
say-
a ball comes near me, I run away.
Can I just say you've got to really love football to get up in the rain every Sunday morning and lose 12 or 14.
That's how much we liked it. But I played for the school because I think what happened was I just kept turning up to training and they felt sorry for me. So eventually they just went, for crying out, this guy's pathetic. Let's just put him in the team. It's embarrassing. So
They're like, let's just get this kid on a team and off my case.
they were worried because, I was a bit of a goth as well. So they were worried about, what I might do. But, yeah,
Broadly using that term.
dyed my hair black at one point. So
So it sounds like these fashion stylings that you guys were. Where did you guys get these ideas to that you did want to dye your hair different colors and stuff like that?
music television, I think.
Okay.
Quran.
Okay.
Impressionable young men.
Well, when I did the thing with my hair, it was definitely a Matt Bellamy move. That one
Was it?
Yeah,
I thought it was
because-
Mudvayne.
It was not Mudvayne. Yeah, Oh yeah, we way preferred Mudvayne to Muse always.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I don't know if they're friends, Ray, but I just don't think their back catalogue is as solid as Muse's.
And Dan, where did you pick up the idea that you obviously wanted to do drums? And did you guys like together collectively were like, hey, we want to play together?
Funnily enough, we didn't. It wasn't like a plan or anything. I actually Tom played keyboard barely put an effort in. It was awful. But I played trumpet, and I was actually half decent actually, which is quite impresses quite a lot of people.
Yeah, really cool.
You should have obviously continued your passion and played in a ska band, obviously.
Exactly. I wish I had in a way.
You love ska.
So I played that, but I hated it. So one day, a friend of mine said, "Oh, I'm going to take drum lessons, but it's cheaper if we share. So do you want to share?" I went, "I'll ask my mum." So I did, and she went, "Yeah." And so I went back in. And
Didn't tell her the prices of cymbals.
No. or how loud they are. And so I went in and started doing shared lessons, and the teacher was like, "Bloody hell, you are quite good actually." Quite quickly.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was like that. "You've got natural talent." And I was like, "Thank you."
Thank you. I will continue to go to you.
But the other guy who's done lessons, he was useless, and so he packed it in after about 2 weeks. But I stayed on because he was like, he said you got the potential to be. Well, actually, didn't say that. That is a lie. But no, he did seem to think I had something. So it was the first time I think anyone's ever said you're good at something to me.
What was me?
So I carried on with it, and still at it.
Got it. And so did you so collectively both of you guys, as you were both figuring out your prospective instruments, did you guys decide that it was just easiest to play together and kind of start a band?
Yeah, well, the singer of our first band was a guy called Ben who lived about 4 doors down for us. So he played guitar and sung. Tom played bass with his dyed pyramids, and
I did that one day.
And what was it? Sorry to interrupt, but what was the? Because I find the first band names some of the most revealing / funny / awesomely bad band names. So please tell me what the name of your first band was.
It was Inharmonic, wasn't it?
Yeah, Inharmonic.
Oh, that's not terrible.
I think it was supposed to be some sort of attempt at like Deftones.
Yeah.
Inharmonic.
It's pretty bad.
Shit.
It's pretty bad. And that was just covers, wasn't it? I had a bongo.
No, it wasn't just covers.
I had a bongo though. Surely we should talk about that for a little bit.
What? And so, how old were you guys when you were doing this?
14, 15.
14, 15.
I started playing drums when I was 14.
We were doing shows in the free button when I was 15.
Or maybe I started when I was 13. But it all happened quite fast because we instantly had it.
The time travels so slowly when you're that age.
The time was so
crazy.
Raw.
You think how much you can get done in a year as a 13-year-old?
Because we had like a song called Spider Song, which was like System of a Down song.
Because I had some Spider song.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about the I Know Everything But the Answers. That was a song.
We had
2 songs about superheroes that had superheroes.
That was the later on material. That was when we were starting to get heavy.
Well, because eventually we became Counting the Days, and
Wait, what was that? Counting the Days?
Yeah, which was named after an obscure 100 Reasons song off a split they did with a band called Garrison.
Yeah,
I have that CD.
Okay, well, we're named after a song on that.
Okay.
So that we did an EP. We did a 4-track EP.
This is when I said, "Look, Ben aside, I'll write the songs."
So was Ben not in?
Clicked.
Was Ben just a lone frontman for a while? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So yeah, what we did is we got Matt. We got another guitarist. So Tom went to guitar. A guy called Matt went to guitar and screaming, and then Ben just sung, and we got a bassist called Tim. They're all gone, obviously. Then we did a 4-track EP.
But that's what I would consider the beginning of Architects then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not say that, because then we've been going for like 10 years.
Well, the idea of the band that you kind of wanted to do something like this.
If I had started writing songs that were evolving constantly from then to now, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
It was never like, right, we're done with that band and that style.
Well, the thing is about that band is the other guitarist we got, Matt, he became our singer for our first CD for Nightmares. He eventually stopped playing guitar and just did screaming. And that's when
We
we
got
got
Tim in.
And that's when we got Tim in, because Tim was in a band
College.
with Matt. Yeah, all college mates. So we
Got
all out by then. And we were doing shows in sort of 16 plus venues when we were 15. We were children.
God,
Literally children. And we did it.
so you guys, they have, I mean, we have 18 plus venues here in the States, but they have 16 plus venues over there?
Yeah, they're not very common. I don't know.
No.
Not anymore. But yeah, back then, we're talking this is like 82 or
80.
No, we weren't born then. When
No,
was
you
it?
weren't.
2000.
9 years ago.
9 years ago. That is too long. So 2003.
Okay.
Because actually we became architects in 2004, and that was our first show, and we weren't called Architects on the Fly. We were called Canada Days, but it was supporting Nile,
And diabetes.
and we replaced Necrophagist, and we were like
Wow.
emotional. We were like an emo core band.
16 years old.
16-year-old emo core band replacing
Emo
Necrophagist.
core. Is that a genre?
It was then, big time. You kidding me? It was all the rage.
You had the dyed black hair?
No, it was, yeah,
No.
we did actually.
Yeah, you did.
So the fact that was like trial by fire. So you guys were thrown into the heat where it's like this show is going to suck, and you knew it was
Yeah.
going to suck going into it.
Shortly after that, probably within 6 months, we supported Napalm Death as well. Which is just, and the last time they played Brighton was before we were born. I think it was they played Brighton in 1986.
I will say this: we were definitely not one of those bands that got together, got like an EP's worth of songs, got on a few good tours, and immediately had hype. We did everything wrong for years. I mean, this is why we feel old, because we wrote garbage music, we played badly, our song sucked, and we played on bills that didn't make any sense just in Brighton for years. I mean, that's why I feel old now. If we had just started at Ruin, then...
Yeah, so that's 2006, yeah?
What, Ruin?
Yeah.
No. Ruin, yeah, maybe. Maybe 2007.
2007, 2007, I think.
It's 2007, yeah. So that's, that seems a bit more recent. That's only 5 years ago. The
Yeah,
stuff
right.
before, but then you hear about bands, they're like,
Taught the States off that record.
you hear bands that have been going for, like, we've been going for 6 years and we're just about to release our debut album. What is that about? I mean, I don't know what bands get up to, but maybe that is a good idea.
I think maybe it is.
Because then you haven't got this public, we can't delete Nightmares off the
My
earth.
conscience.
But more devastatingly, we can't delete some of our old promos.
Right.
They're on the internet forever now. And that is something we have to deal with.
On a daily basis.
Yeah.
So as you once you guys started to obviously play together and play in all these bands that you were speaking of, prior to obviously Architects, becoming more of a focus, were you guys pretty much at that point, hey, mom and dad, we are not interested in pursuing university at all? Or how did that conversation go? Because obviously parents are parents totally love the idea of kids not going to further their education and do a really loud screaming band.
Yeah, well, we just said we were going to take a gap year with it, because in our last year of college, we did a tour with Beecher, and then we did a tour with Johnny Truant, and then we did a tour with Bring Me the Horizon, all in our last year of college when we were 18. So, we had already missed quite a bit, and we already had our first European tour planned for that August after we finished college. So I think they kind of saw that there was some kind of momentum there, even if actually there wasn't. So we just said, we're just going to take 1 year out. And by the time that year was up, I think it was pretty evident that we weren't gonna go. I think that because it's a bit of a pinch, on the old wallet. So two tours at the same time as well. I think deep down they're probably a bit good.
Dodge a bullet.
Yeah.
So they even taking a year off, like that's a tough discussion to have with parents as well. So were they just like, okay, you do this for a year and then you'll come to your senses and realize that's a terrible idea?
I'm a little bit hazy on how exactly it went, to be honest.
I don't know if we ever sort of gave them a choice.
Yeah, I mean,
Just like, we're doing this. It's like, okay.
I had by the time we finished college, I had no interest in learning.
Yeah,
I do now, but I didn't then.
And we didn't have any idea what we wanted to do at university. All we wanted to do was play in the band. And to be honest, our parents have always been very, very supportive. And actually, as time goes on, their support just gets stronger and stronger is what we do. So they never really made much sort of... They never really argued against us and told us we shouldn't do it. They just sort of said that if that's what we want to do, then we should go for it. So... got to give us some credit in that respect, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a huge thing. And didn't your guys' mom help you out with mail order, mail order for shirts for a certain time?
For until last year, she ran our online store, and she'd always helped with financial matters and stuff that we don't know about, tax and all that kind of nonsense. Before we got involved with a business manager, she looked after all our stuff, and so she's always been extremely helpful for our band, sort of.
That's pretty incredible because some parents.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. And she continues to be incredibly supportive for us. So.
I'd say she's the sixth member, but she isn't. Because we don't have a fifth right now.
So she's the fifth member.
So what was the and you guys were able to, I mean, obviously, since do you both still live with your parents? And when I say still, I don't mean that in a derogatory way.
That big house that we were talking about earlier.
Right, I know, the $7 million house.
From the Century Media advance.
Of course.
From when we signed. No, we still live at home.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what was the and so because of that, you guys have been able to, not have a quote unquote real job in quite some time. So what was the last real job that you guys had to hold down in between, either in between records or before the band really started to, generate income, so to speak?
I had a good one. At it was just called the telemarketing company. It's the longest I've ever worked anywhere. I was there for 3 months.
3 months, that's a long time.
It's a long time in telemarketing. No, and that was a weird one actually, because the band was kind of doing stuff, and whilst I was there, we had a poster out in Kerrang one week, and I had I made friends with the guy there, and he was like in his 50s, but he used to be in a band, and they had been and toured America and all this stuff, so we used to talk about that sort of stuff.
Little glimpse into the future.
Yeah. It's fine. I'd gone to the shop at lunchtime and picked it up, and I kind of, let on to him. Oh yeah, we got this poster. Yeah, it's no big deal. And then he told the boss, and then at the end of the day, the boss made an announcement to the whole room that we've got our own resident rock star in the house.
How embarrassing.
Yeah, just a little bit. But quite a strange sort of juxtaposition of being a guy trying to sell companies credit card, where people buy this magazine, probably see these people on the poster or whatever and think, wow, they've really made it or something.
That would be incredible if for all the rest of the calls that you did that day would be like, have you heard of the music magazine Kerrang?
That's fucking me in the centerfold there. That's me.
And then you were able to get some poor saps to sign up for credit cards.
They're probably going to wreck that company.
And the obvious question that I'm sure has been asked of you a few times, so I apologize, but I just always find it so interesting when people, when family members are able to exist like you guys have been, essentially, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not only in the band, but living together and kind of everything else. What prevents you from killing one another?
Come close every now and again.
Fine lines.
Yeah. Here's also another addendum to the question as well. When was the last true either fist fight or yelling at each other? What was the last time that you can recall in regards to that? And then how do you not kill each other after that?
About 2 days ago, yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't. We've never really got fists involved, but we get pretty angry at each other. But it's just part and parcel of being brothers, or even more so twin brothers, and basically being joint at the hip. With in the same band, in the same house with the same friends. since day one. So
I think the thing that holds it together is that we agree on most things, and we're both sort of working towards the same stuff. At the time, that can also be a source of tension because we're both working for the band and we want sort of success or whatever you want to call success for the band. And sometimes that can, be a serious thing and something that we both really strongly feel about. So when we disagree on it, that can be quite a explosive event. But I think that's why we can exist, because we're both, you get other brothers who go off in different directions and don't see eye to eye. But I mean, we are living the exact same life, striving for the same things. So
sure, got it. No, that does make sense. Yeah, you see people have either the reaction like you guys have, where you're both in it together and living it, or the opposite reaction of people being like, I have to distance myself from my siblings, immediately because I need to, be my own individual.
Yeah.
You see a lot of bands with brothers do really well, and I think maybe there is something in it, and in some respects. I mean,
yeah.
Certainly in England, the probably biggest current example is Biffy Clyro, I reckon.
Yeah. Well,
Pantera.
Yeah.
Gojira, fantastic.
There are others.
Go on.
Bill Oddie.
Go on.
There are others.
Go on. Name another band with brothers.
More.
I think God Forbid has brothers.
God forbid.
Well, they used to, no longer. But regardless, anyways, that's a whole different topic.
Black Sabbath.
Yes, I think all of these are completely true.
Pink Floyd.
I wanted to hit on something that you guys we were joking about earlier, even though technically this whole interview is kind of a joke. The fact that, I mean, I've always noticed, especially like in the UK, most of your music magazines and everything are so centered around
Bullshit.
Bullshit or drama. Like, it's kind of very.
This has got us in hot water recently, Ray. We're treading on eggshells with this subject.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, and I don't need to trot out any specific stories or anything. And this is merely just an observation that you can comment on. But, like where here in the States, like we have, tabloid magazines like, Us Weekly, where they talk about, the A-list movie stars, and, 70% of the story is true and 30% is false. And so I feel that the UK kind of has a similar vibe in the way that they cover music, where it's like they care about, they care about live shows and new records that come out, but they also care more so about the dramatic events that happen kind of behind the scenes. Like,
yeah.
And you guys have mostly been able to navigate sort of away from that, just because, you're not some, crazy dramatic band.
But problem.
What's that?
That's a problem, though, for us, unfortunately.
Well, in terms of press, but I mean, who gives a shit about being in magazines for all that stuff? It's embarrassing.
But yeah, I mean, it's certainly the fact that we don't really cater to that kind of stuff, and that coupled with us having a pretty boring image, bar a singer with long blonde hair.
Right, which is not that crazy.
We're not like particularly marketable or interesting band in any other sense other than our music. So unfortunately, that sort of makes us quite difficult or unattractive for some magazines to cover us.
And has that been something that you guys have intentionally done? I mean, obviously you've not intentionally crafted your own personal lives to be like, okay, well, we can't be crazy because we don't want these magazines to pick up on us. But, you've kind of tried to just basically have people focus on the music rather than,
Well, it's just
who we are.
Yeah, exactly. It's just who we are. So it's hard to focus on anything else because there is nothing else to focus on. Because
yeah,
we don't do anything crazy, and we're such like regular, cynical, sarcastic English guys that we're so regular in so many respects that we can't really we can't even pretend, even if we wanted to. We couldn't even pretend to be what some magazines want us to be.
I'd like to think, though, on the plus side, and I can't speak for what our fans think or what other people think about a band, but I'd like to think that any any fans that we do have, identify with the fact that we are just people trying to make music that we like, and it really is that simple. And there's no sort of added glamour or rock star behavior. All that stuff's like really embarrassing to me and really contrived.
Right. No, that's kind of what I've been able to notice where, you guys joke about obviously feeling old, and the fact that, you do have a decent body of work, but because you have, well, 4 full lengths if you don't count Ruin. And so I think that, because it's been a slower build for you guys, and like you said, you haven't just immediately blown out in the scene and been like, we're here, fucking pay attention to us. People, tend to follow you for longer periods of time. Like, do you notice that where it's like kids have kind of grown up with you in a way?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially in England, there's some fans that have been coming to our shows for years and years and following us for a long time. But yeah, I mean that is cool. I mean,
I just hope that that means we can. I mean, we'll find out, but I'm sure we will outlive this sort of the current crop of like stuff that I can't help but feel like it's sort of these chances, I suppose. The people that it's amazing now, right? Is that we can be in a band now and we're kind of influenced from bands, from whatever, Botch or Dillinger or Every Time I Die or releases from like 2000, 2001 or whatever, 2002, stuff like that. But there's bands now, big bands, whose like main influences are like from records that were released 3 years ago. That's how quickly it happens now.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of chewing itself up and becoming more and more of the same stuff.
Everything gets rehashed so quickly. Whilst we're rehashing old stuff.
Well, and they don't know about that. That's the thing. All the kids, they've not listened to it.
That's our secret.
No. So, I mean, I'm kind of hoping that we can, hopefully people identify that we're not kind of the same as all that stuff, which might be pretty popular right now, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's interesting because, we share a lot of fans with a lot of these bands, but we feel very separate from them. And we do, I'm not trying to slag anyone off. I'm not going to name any names, but because, we're actually friends with some bands that do this, I think, maybe. But things like synchronized sort of stage moves and stuff like that, like choreographed stage moves.
Right.
That's so absolutely insane to us as just like, to us as sort of as cynical, sarcastic English people, that can only be done in like a cynical, sarcastic, like comedy sense where you're taking the piss.
Right. You're like, this is funny that we do this, but there are people that actually because that's like part of their business plan.
That's like
it's standard.
That's synchronized. When we were growing up, synchronized dance moves was boy bands was Westlife, Take That. I don't know which of these bands are the boy bands were ever big in America, if any.
Take That was
NSYNC, yeah, all that kind of stuff. It's just that's who does synchronized dance moves.
That's like an influence on modern metalcore now.
It is, and I've discussed this before with someone that I don't understand when that whole thing, or like just that whole like boy band vibe of metal bands. I don't know how that got into metal bands because I'm sure that doesn't really exist in like indie music or punk music or hardcore or ska.
Imagine if that got into hardcore.
Or like just like I don't know why it skipped straight. It's like a cellular sort of evolutionary mutation.
I think it probably came
in metalcore. How did that happen?
I think it probably came along with when every band had to release a video of them doing a cover of the most recent #1 radio hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a very, very strange thing, and I don't know how it happened, and it's a shame from our perspective that whole trend or musical culture has existed in like amongst our peers now, or what are considered our peers. because we can't fit in that respect. But well, like Tom says, maybe that'll actually help us in the long run. It's just something that we will obviously never do. I mean, you couldn't. It's just, I mean, we can't even do like a parody of it because it's so embarrassing.
Right. And so, hitting kind of what you guys were saying, where a lot of the magazines choose not to cover you because you guys are obviously so there's no stories there. But you guys are opinionated, where it's like like you're saying, Sam, your singer, obviously he doesn't mince words, and people ask him, maybe they catch him at a time where he's drunk and he might say something about a band somewhere.
Well, it's
Um,
the record, and then it ends up in the magazine anyway.
right, exactly. So, is it one of those things where you guys are just like, well, whatever, people are going to talk and people are going to say these things, and it is what it is, and we'll just try to clear it up where we can and avoid it in other places?
Thing is, I'd rather not go around picking out bands and talking shit about them or whatever, because it just seems so trivial. Like, let's not waste our time doing that.
We have no animosity with any bands at all. They're like, we don't. We don't like some bands' music, obviously. I mean, that's an entirely different thing. But as people, there's no bands we have any problem with or any strife with. So, we've had little sort of silly to-dos with some bands over things that have been said in magazines, but never anything serious or anything anyone cares about. I mean, the thing is as well is if with things like Twitter now, you can just say something fairly flippantly, and then look what Dan Architect said about you, sort of thing, and then they know.
You can take a photo of a magazine, and then the magazine gets
or you can just comment on how a band's dressed, like Sam, and then and that's just silliness, really. We don't. Like you said before, we're incredibly personable people, very nice, very humble. And so,
that's very debatable. That you're taking my words, but
so we don't really we never have issues with other bands. I'm trying to think. Have we had like on tour anything ever?
Well, it's funny because people may have a certain perception of you guys. It's like the way that, like you said, you're lumped in with a lot of bands that you might not share common bonds with. But then, a band like, okay, using a random example, using a band like, you guys just got off the road with Touche Amore. And you guys wouldn't immediately always play the same sort of shows because you're kind of, two completely different bands that play in different scenes. And so sorry, there's my kiddo making some noise in the background. The guys in Touche Amore could look at promo photos of you and be like, oh, those guys look like every other UK band or whatever, besides the fact that you don't have maybe ridiculous hair or whatever the case may be.
Do you know what? We totally thought they would.
Right. And so, but then they tour with you and they realize it's like, oh, these dudes are just, they're totally normal, average guys. And so I'm sure there's a lot of battling that perception from people from the outside.
Yeah, definitely. Before we toured to Shemore, we definitely felt that we were sort of like the real uncool, metalcore, sort of fashion core metal band.
Great use of fashion core, by the way.
I've not heard that since about 2002. Because we love that band, and I kind of went onto it being like, oh, they're
because they were on Death Wish as well, and like they're just like.
Why is everyone on Century Media?
We're not on them anymore. And they were pretty, they were a great band, and like Tom says, we were all fans, so we were sort of concerned that maybe they would just sort of turn their noses up at us.
Right.
It didn't at all. So
to be fair, I had my own preconceptions as well. I thought they were probably going to be too cool for school, and they weren't at all. They were lovely guys.
Yeah, no, and it's funny how you just bring those pieces of baggage into certain tours, and then all of a sudden you realize that it's like, oh, I mean, of course there are some bands where they do live up to their expectations of like, oh yeah, I heard those guys are kind of, just hang out in their bus and that's kind of it. But it's cool how you're able to break down those preconceived notions and be like, oh yeah, like you're just as average as I am or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you're right. We do sort of feel like we're tarred with that brush to some extent.
Sure.
difficult to see it from the inside as well, because from the outside maybe we are like an embarrassing load of shit. Just a thought. I'm just thinking out
loud. Sure.
Some insecurities coming out there.
And sort of, kind of to wrap things up in a way, you guys have always had a very, ambitious idea of like, all right, like we're doing well in the UK, but we would like to, do well in other places like Australia, Canada, USA, and all those other places that you guys have been able to kind of tour. Is it just so mind-blowing when you go to different territories and even touring Europe where you're just like, how the fuck is this so goddamn different? We drive 4 hours and people could give a shit about us, and we drive 8 hours and people love us. Like, is it just kind of mind-numbing how that happens?
Yeah, I think you get numb to it sometimes. But when we went to South America in April, May, that was sort of the most refreshing feeling for that, I think, for me at least, because we weren't expecting anything, and that was really mind-blowing because we had never been there, and people were just so appreciative and happy that we were there, and that because that obviously as well feels like a very different culture to England, obviously.
You're like, wow, people actually like going to shows and they want to go to shows as opposed to just like going because it's something to do on a Saturday night.
Yeah, exactly. It's an event and it's a big deal, and you can almost sort of, that's how it was for when we were young as well. And when you do get those moments of sort of a clarity of what we get to do and or what we've achieved or whatnot, is actually it is obviously a great feeling. Unfortunately, those moments of clarity are few and far between.
The thing is, it is a bit disappointing sometimes when you show up somewhere and you think, yeah, maybe the show's going to be all right, and then no one gives a fuck or whatever, and that does seem to happen all the time. But at the same time, kind of, I don't want to think like the grass is greener for some other bands or whatever, because I know there's pretty much every band I've met that is bigger than us. You always think, God, if we were as big as that band, like, I'd love it every day. But I don't think it really works like that. I think everyone gets used to what their average show is or what a normal day is for them. And, no one's overwhelmed every single day. So I'm not going to say, like, anyone's got a bad. I mean, some other bands we know that play great shows every single day, and they can really, they want to go home a lot of the time.
Yeah. No, that's true. I think that's a very important perspective that a lot of people aren't able to really wrap their heads around, because, at the end of the day, bands are, we as humans are always like striving for more for ourselves, whether it's like professionally, whether it's in a band or whatever the fuck it is, you're wanting to kind of push yourself in a way. And so as using a Hatebreed record, it's like, yeah, satisfaction is the death of desire. And it's like, if you do become content, then that's kind of when you might not become as vital, or your art may suffer or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, I do also wonder, what it is that, like you say, like sometimes I kind of question what it is that drives us forward, like what this kind of, because I really always, I don't think in terms of money. I don't think in terms of, well, if we did better, then we'd have more money.
Financial anxiety. There's not like, can we get more? It's not greed, is it?
No, and
it's more like, can we afford to do this?
And it's more, I just want to have as much fun as possible when we're playing the shows. I just want to play really cool shows. But then if they were really good every day, who's to say that, the really good ones wouldn't be special anymore because they would all be good? I don't know, like, maybe not, but I don't feel, I do wonder, what is it that I want out of being in a band? What is it that I'm kind of really actually looking for?
I think the important thing is that we've done 4, or some people say 5 albums, and obviously been touring since 2006 or maybe a bit of 2005, and we all still enjoy doing what we do. We all still enjoy touring. We all still enjoy writing, recording. So then probably,
so as long as we can keep sustaining that.
That's I remember when I first went on tour, and I just couldn't believe how fun it was, and I still have those moments where I go on tour and I'm just like, this is great. I just don't want to do anything else. This is just the funnest thing ever. And so the fact that we've managed to sustain that feeling, because I know for some bands or some individuals in bands, that touring is really viewed as a chore, and you always made out that it's going to it will eventually become like that with you. But we've been doing it for 7 years and it still isn't a chore, so that's at least a positive sign, and it doesn't feel like our feelings on it are going to change anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, no, that's a huge thing to have. So, and that obviously keeps, like you said, you don't quite know your motivation, but it's like, because you only really start to question why you're doing something until once it starts to suck. Once you start to not receive some sort of gratification from it, that's when you're like, oh, what do I have to change, or what do I have to do differently because I'm not receiving as much enjoyment as I would like out of this or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, gentlemen, you have been, well, first of all, you've been the first international guest for the show, so that's also a huge trophy that will be sent your direction.
So
I know. Yes, and so I do appreciate you guys wanting to hang out and have fun on this, and I hope it was enjoyable in some way, shape, or form for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I would say this is an exclusive, most revealing interview yet.
And well, obviously we talked about your mom changing nappies, so that's
Still their rule.